Ahoy there, fellow adventurers. Ever dreamt of escaping the mundane and charting your own course through paradise? Well, you've clicked on the right video because today we're doing exactly that. Welcome to Amalfi Adventure, your dream itinerary, and get ready to navigate Dream Amalfi. Yes, that's what you're reading in the thumbnail, in case you were wondering, and what kind of dream itinerary is this without some local flavor? Because in addition to the usual nautical shenanigans, we'll also be diving into the taste of the Amalfi Coast, exploring some local delicacies. So stick around. I'm guessing you're like me. You've probably been scrolling through countless photos of the Amalfi Coast, wondering if it's actually real. Well, let me tell you, it's even more spectacular in person, especially when you're seeing it from a sailboat. We're diving deep today, friends. We're not just skimming the surface. We're talking hidden coves, sun-kissed marinas, and yes, even some ridiculously good Italian food. So if you're ready to ditch the desk job and embrace the salty life, let's get this show on the water, or at least on your screen. First up, we need to talk anchorages and marinas. Now, the Amalfi Coast isn't exactly known for its wide-open bays, you know? It's more of a rugged coastline with dramatic cliffs and charming little towns tucked in between. This means you'll need to be a bit strategic when finding a place to drop the hook, and I'm here to share my secrets. Picture this. You're sailing along, and then bam, you find a spot like the bay near Nerano. It's protected, incredibly scenic, and offers that perfect I'm the king of the world feeling with a few restaurants on the beach. Now, this is the kind of place you're going to want to arrive early at. Alternatively, there's the Marina di Amalfi itself, smack in the middle of the main town. It's buzzy, it's vibrant, and it's where you want to be if you want to get in touch with civilization after days at sea. Think of it as a good base camp from where you can explore. Now be warned, mooring here can be a bit pricey, but it's worth it to be right in the heart of the action, and of course, for the food, which we'll get to later. So you've got your anchorages. Now let's talk itineraries. Planning a sailing trip can be as complicated as ordering a pizza in Naples. There's a lot of choices, but I've got a tried-and-true 7-day route that'll take you to all the most gorgeous spots, and that's also not as crowded as Naples at lunchtime. Day 1, we're sailing from Salerno to Amalfi. It's a perfect way to get acquainted with the coast and allows you some practice with docking in a smaller port. Day 2, we're pushing to Positano. It's the postcard view you've seen a million times, but seeing it from the water with the sun kissing the colorful houses is something else entirely. Day 3, Capri calls. We'll drop anchor in a quiet bay and dinghy into town. This is a must-do on every Amalfi itinerary, and yes, there are fantastic restaurants for all budgets. Day 4 is heading towards the Isola di Isca, a place that's a bit off the beaten path. This is where you go to feel like a true explorer, but still close to civilization, and by this time you'll probably need to stock on more pasta anyway. Day 5 is for the bays near Nerano, where we mentioned before. A perfect opportunity to relax and go for a swim in crystal-clear waters. Day 6, we'll explore the area around Ravello, a hilltop town overlooking the sea, an absolute must for anyone who loves history and panoramic views. And finally, Day 7, we'll sail back towards Salerno. You can use this trip as a chance to work out if there's still space on the boat for some extra mozzarella and maybe some local olive oil. You know, for later. You can find all of these waypoints and more in the description of this video in case you want to do some extra planning. Now, before you set sail, let's talk about some basic sailing techniques because, let's face it, no one wants to be the that guy floundering around while everyone else is gliding smoothly. Okay, so we all know that anchoring is a must-have skill, but it's much more than just throwing the anchor overboard, and in the Amalfi Coast, you need to be a bit more precise. First, you need to choose the right spot. Look for a sandy bottom. Avoid rocky areas as much as possible. Then, approach slowly and carefully, using your depth sounder and, of course, your eyes, always keeping an eye out for other vessels. Once the anchor is set, don't be too quick to celebrate. Always do a stern check to see that the anchor is set well. Also, remember that in the Amalfi area, you will be using a lot of mooring lines, so that's what you should practice. And of course, always be ready to change your anchoring spot because you'll probably find that some places are more exposed than others, and safety comes first. Now, speaking of safety, let's talk about a few common mistakes you'll want to avoid. First of all, and I cannot stress this enough, do not underestimate the wind. The Amalfi Coast is a bit notorious for its changeable winds, so always check the forecast before you sail and be ready to change your plans accordingly. Never, ever sail too close to the cliffs or into areas that are clearly marked on your charts as dangerous. And if you're not sure about something, it's better to ask the locals or some other yachtsman than to assume it's all right. And finally, Remember that the Amalfi Coast is a busy place and there are lots of ferries, smaller boats, and other vessels. Be mindful of your surroundings and always maintain a good watch. Now, with all that covered, I think it's about time we take a break from navigation and get to the food.
Ah, Italy.
Is there anywhere else on Earth that has this kind of food? I mean, really? Okay, so you've been out on the water, the sun's shining, and your stomach's rumbling. Time to explore the culinary delights of the Amalfi Coast. First off, you absolutely have to try spaghetti alle vongole, a classic local dish made with fresh clams, garlic, white wine, and a touch of chili. It's the perfect embodiment of the coast's essence, simple, fresh, and incredibly delicious. Now, if seafood isn't your thing, don't you worry, because you also have plenty of delicious local pasta dishes to choose from, like scialatielli ai frutti di mare, or some form of local ravioli. Whatever you chose, you can find it in all local restaurants and trattorias, so pick one with a nice view and enjoy. Now, no meal in Italy is complete without a good bottle of wine, right? So, when you're around Amalfi, make sure to try the local falanghina or the Greco di Tufo. And of course, after dinner comes the perfect palate cleanser, the famous limoncello of the Amalfi Coast. And if you are planning to cook on the boat, there's a large number of fresh local produce and seafood at all local markets. There is an abundance of options, so don't be afraid to experiment. You have to remember that even a simple caprese salad, when made with local ingredients, becomes an absolutely memorable experience. So there you have it. A quick overview of how to have the most amazing time on the Amalfi Coast, as well as a delicious insight into what to eat while you're there. We've covered the anchorages, the routes, some basic skills to avoid major problems, and of course, a quick guide to the local cuisine. Hopefully, this gives you a head start in your next dream yacht charter in the Amalfi Coast. Now, for those of you who are itching for more, I've got your back. Our next video will be titled Amazing BVI Sail, Your Exclusive Guide. And it's packed with insider knowledge to make sure your time on the Caribbean is also pure bliss. So make sure you click on the link that's going to be popping up on the screen and add our Sailing Adventures playlist to your list of favorites. This is the perfect place for you to start creating your dream yacht charter. Until next time, fair winds and following seas. And remember, life is too short for bad charts and dull itineraries. Go out there and make some memories.